The National Security Agency has been collecting phone records for millions of Americans under a top-secret court order. The Guardian broke the story, and ABC's chief White House correspondent John Carl has been tracking it through the night. And John, this is a blanket order. Every Verizon call, both phone numbers, time and length.
That's right, George. This top-secret order, which was obtained by the Guardian, was requested by the FBI on April 25th. That's just 10 days after the Boston Marathon bombing, and it covers the phone records of millions of Americans. And while the White House is not directly confirming this story, they are defending this massive collection of data that it describes. A senior White House official telling me just a short while ago, quote, "Information of the sort described in the Guardian article has been a critical tool in protecting the nation from terrorist threats to the United States, as it allows counterterrorism personnel to discover whether known or suspected terrorists have been in contact with other persons who may be engaged in terrorist activities, particularly in the United States." Now, this official makes two other points, George. First of all, this order does not allow the government to listen in to those phone calls, only to look at their duration, their length, and who is calling who. And the second point they make is that key members of Congress were aware of this.
They may be, and the White House may be defending it right now, but there's already been a bipartisan outcry.
That's right. First of all, you have the civil liberties groups completely outraged by this. The ACLU calling it a massive invasion of privacy. And Al Gore, former Vice President Al Gore, look what he tweeted last night after this story broke. "In a digital era, privacy must be a priority. Is it just me, or is secret blanket surveillance obscenely outrageous?" So very strong words of objections coming from the former Democratic Vice President.
Tonight, an exclusive report about American citizens being spied upon by the U.S. government. The Bush administration has maintained surveillance powers given to the National Security Agency are only used to monitor terror suspects in a time of war. But now two former U.S. intelligence operators have come forward telling ABC News they and others listened in on the private, intimate phone calls of hundreds of American citizens. Here's our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross.
It was from here, a huge listening post in Georgia run by the NSA, the super-secret National Security Agency, that the two intercept operators say they listened to the overseas private phone calls of American journalists, humanitarian workers, and soldiers serving in Iraq.
These were really just everyday, average, ordinary Americans.
Adrienne Kinney was an Arab linguist in the Army Reserve.
We're listening to Iraq.
Called up after 9/11, she says she was told by her commanding officers that people at the top had given legal approval to listen to phone calls between Americans.
It was just personal conversations that really nobody else should have been listening to.
That's not how President Bush has justified eavesdropping on Americans without a warrant.
It's a phone call of a known Al-Qaeda suspect making a phone call into the United States.
I would call it a lie because we were definitely listening to Americans who had nothing to do with terrorism.
Navy Arab linguist David Murphy Falk worked at the same NSA facility until last November. Falk says intimate calls became the source of office jokes.
And at times when I was told, "Hey, check this out, there's some good phone sex, or there's some pillow talk, pull up this call, it's really funny, go check it out."
Both former intercept operators say there were times when the eavesdropping found the terrorist needle in the haystack and disrupted attacks against U.S. troops, underscoring, they say, the time wasted listening to Americans talk to Americans.
It's almost like they're making the haystack bigger, and it's harder to find that piece of information that might be actually useful.
The NSA said today it assiduously follows the law. On Capitol Hill, however, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Jay Rockefeller, said the ABC allegations were extremely disturbing and said his committee is already looking into them. Charlie.
Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, reporting. Thanks to you.